What's up, guys? We are live. So I am truly excited for today's guest. You guys know Tony. He was on the channel about a week ago. We did that debate, right?
Yes. Maybe about a week ago. Yes.
Yeah, that was definitely a viral debate. I think a lot of people enjoyed that. Yeah, for this one, I wanted to bring Tony on because I think there's a lot of interesting questions that I want to ask him that we didn't get a chance to talk to during the initial debate because it was a debate. But for anyone who's not familiar with you, Tony, how would you introduce yourself?
My name is Tony. My last name is Toutouni. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been involved in all various types of different businesses since I was probably 17 years old. And semi-retired, not really working much anymore, just living off the money that I made in the past and just enjoying my life. I've been trying to enjoy my last 10, 15 years, enjoying my life.
Nice. Did anything happen to your Instagram? Did your Instagram get taken down? Because I couldn't. It wasn't showing up for me today.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of different types of hate group that attack
Oh,
Instagram, and it's just a matter of you know having to call them and try to sort things out. So yeah, I didn't do anything. I didn't post anything. I wasn't posting anything. It's just Instagram has a really bad way of understanding how to protect the people that are on it. And
uh-huh,
what's happening now is there's a group of extortionists or various different type of people
uh-huh.
that that they target people that have money, and then they go after them. They have these bots, and they target people by making false reports, thousands and thousands of false reports. So Instagram doesn't really know. They just sit there and see, oh, look, all these posts are coming in from different reports are coming in. And what they do is they shut down the account. And then it's just a matter of going through the hassle of getting your Instagram back and proving that there's someone out there attacking your Instagram. It's just an extreme mess. And I think Instagram should definitely do something about it because they're losing more and more people off their site.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with you completely. I personally experienced this. I got my personal Instagram taken down, also due to mass reports. After I had a conversation with a feminist, she posted, they started mass reporting. My Instagram went down. I was only able to get it back after I found someone who works at Facebook and they submitted it internally. I tried to do externally for like 3 months. I had no success. It was only,
Absolutely.
yeah, only, but when they submitted internally, a week later, it was back.
Yeah, so you need someone internally to help you, and when you don't have one, it's just a whole shit show of mess. And then what's even worse is when you don't have that, you have to go to someone and pay them to get
Uh-huh.
your Instagram back. So it's like it's just such a shit show and just so stupid. I mean, Instagram has made it so all these different criminals and outlets are able to make money off of different individuals. It's just horrible.
Yeah, the big scam that someone tried to pull on me is there will be like a hot girl account that will message you, but it's like obvious it's not really a girl if you know what you're looking for, and she'll start like being sexual with you, and then she'll try to get you to send her nudes, right? And then if you send her the nudes, they'll be like, okay, we're gonna send this nude to everyone you know if you don't pay us $5,000. Obviously, I was smart enough not to actually send a dick pic because I could tell it was fake. But what's funny is if you refuse to send them nudes, then they
Yeah,
try to do like a Hail Mary where they're like, well, we're going to tell everyone that you had a sexual conversation with me and I'm 15 years old. So you got to pay us $500. But yeah, there's all these weird scams going around. So I want to start off with this. So what were your thoughts? We talked about this offline, but what were your thoughts on that whole debate?
well, I will try to be very honest with you, extremely honest with you. I met Janelle through a doctor friend of mine. She seems to be a very nice person. Um, Other than that, I really don't know her that well.
Uh,
I feel like I was involved in a situation where I didn't like to be. I
uh,
feel that she told me things that were a little bit different from what I heard from the other sides.
uh,
Um, and I'm not the type of person that sits there and just agrees with someone because they're my friend, my mother, my sister, or someone that I like. Um, and I wanted to be as honest as possible. I felt like I was honest with everyone. Um, and she said a lot of things that the best word would be mind blowing.
Yeah, if you go through the comments section on that debate, there's a lot of my fans who are saying mad respect for Tony. He kept it real. He was honest. So I think the audience agrees with that assessment that you were fair. What were some of those things that you thought were mind blowing specifically?
Well, when she said she wrote, she had helped over 100,000 clients, that was really far fetched. I didn't understand where she even came up with that number.
Yeah, it's a lot.
When she tried to explain that Anthony Robbins gave her tickets to go to his show, how that was an investment. I tried in very nice way to get her to protect or defend herself with her career. I know she's a single mother. I feel really, I feel bad for her for being a single mother, but there are a lot of single mothers out there. And I feel that the way she's doing things is maybe a little bit wrong. I didn't quite understand her because sometimes she would go far left and sometimes she would go far right.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't have like an in between there. It was, which I'm an in between guy, so didn't really understand what was going on with her.
So what were you told before the debate? Because I could tell kind of like you were like, it was like a weird thing where you're like, wait, this is not matching up to what I was told. I could tell like initially.
I was told that Destiny and another male were cornering her because there was two males against one girl, and she was trying to bring up different points with her career, and they were attacking her, saying that her word doesn't mean anything because she has a boob job. And I said, well, that's not right. If someone says things like that, you should defend yourself. And she said, well, I was on my own. It was like 2-3 people attacking me and I didn't know what to say. I got caught off guard. So I said, all right, well, if you need me to help you, if you need me to defend you, the one thing I know I have is a mouthpiece. So put me on. I'm willing to debate anyone. But if they're going to attack you over your boobs, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree if that was the case. Yeah, one thing that I found weird is that she kept like even the initial debate was her against Destiny, but when she's saying I was against multiple guys, like I'm the moderator, my job is to stay neutral. Like I feel like I do a pretty good job, unless the podcast is going completely.
I noticed he actually said it a bunch of times to her.
Yeah,
and
but it still seems like I was against her.
You guys, when we were speaking to her, and I'm there to defend her. And you're there, you're not saying much. And I don't understand why it was always you guys.
Yeah.
And I think this Me Too movement, and everybody's so afraid to talk about it. Everyone's so afraid to talk about this Me Too movement, this victim Me Too movement. It's like, everybody's afraid to talk about the black thing. You can't say certain things because, the Black Lives Matter, which I understand. I'm totally with it. But I just think people are going really, really far with those things. They're just using the black card, the victim card, and no one wants to talk about that. They think that it's just wrong to talk about it. They're scared to talk about it and so forth. And I just feel as someone that always tries to be fair, it's just wrong for what's happening out there these days.
Yeah.
I totally get that she could have been, first of all, she said that she was involved in sex trafficking. Is that like she was, I didn't quite understand
that part. I didn't catch closely. I don't want to like say something that's inaccurate. She mentioned sex trafficking, but I don't remember exactly what was the context.
All right. Well, first of all, there's all these girls that, to me, there's a lot of prostitutes these days. They get caught and boom, they're sex trafficked.
Mhm.
You know, um, I just, you never know these days. I know there's victims out there. I'm not going to say there isn't. I'm sure there is. But I also feel that a lot of these people are using these victim cards to justify their actions.
Mhm.
And I just don't understand what goes through their minds.
I can explain that actually. Being a victim is very addictive. It's like a natural high. I know this because when I was 18, 19, I had a little bit of a victim mindset myself when it came to money. It's like, well, you know, I don't know, I can make that much money, blah, 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 a little bit, not nearly to that extent. And then, you know, I had a few friends who kind of like sat me down, like, dude, you're just being a victim. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can't do. So I understand it to a much more minor extent how addicted being a victim can be, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. But if I had to pick like one thing that rubbed me the wrong way, it was the constant saying of white men, you white men, because I had absolutely nothing. We weren't having a race debate. We weren't talking about race roles. We're simply talking about stuff that's completely unrelated. So it's like a weird shaming tactic in a way to like label someone as a white man. So that means by default, their opinion should not matter as much because you're a white male. When in reality, everyone has the same, you know, everyone's opinion has the same amount of weight to it. It could be based on credibility, but it's not based on race. You would never, for example, if you're debating a black person, say, oh, you're a black male, so your opinion is not as important. Like that would just be, you know, unheard of.
Well, you know, and that's a sad part. The racial card, the victim card, all these different cards that these people are pulling out these days because of all this Me Too movement and you know, different movements that's coming out. I just think that these people are completely delusional, and there's they have made it where speaking about it is wrong. It's like we should be shamed for not believing them, or we should be shamed for um, feeling that what they're saying is wrong. I have girls that I've met, and it's crazy because I've had them talk to certain black guys, and they get into a smallest little thing, and they say the black person says, "Oh, you don't want to go out with me because I'm black." I've heard them actually say that to girls. It's crazy. I mean, how could you even come up with that to someone? Or someone says, "Oh, I'm," you know, like she was using her victim card. We're having a debate here, okay? Destiny is calling her a scam. I am asking her, and you are also asking her to tell us how she could defend herself. I did not hear any defense other than these different cards that were pulled out and these different things that was said. For example, if you didn't tag her or someone didn't tag her, I don't think that justifies anything in the conversation that she was having with us.
Yeah, she
You know,
takes it too personally because like Destiny doesn't manage his own like no one who's famous manages their own social media. Like they typically have assistants. So like like she took it personally that he didn't tag her, but in reality he wasn't even thinking about it because it was an assistant that created the you know
but I just feel that, and I understand what she was saying. I understand she's trying to promote her business, she's trying to promote her things, which is all great. I'm all for her for that, but it wasn't the right time to say those things. I just don't feel that was the right time. I think at that, when we were questioning her, she needed to explain to us what is it about her business that makes her a sex therapist and a qualified one, and one that people should hire for. Um, like I said, um, I don't believe in these sex therapists. I don't believe in psychologists. I don't believe in a lot of these therapists. I think a lot of them, I hate to say it, are sicker than normal people.
Mm,
I think a lot of them have their own personal demons and issues.
mm,
I have been to a therapist because I was going through a breakup with someone that I cared for at one point when I was younger. And I remember 45 minutes into the conversation, the therapist told me that the best thing to do was for us to break up. And you know, I was just it was mind blowing to me, because how do you come up with that observation so fast? And how do you not try to make things work for people? Like if you go through a therapist, one of the things they do is they just sit there and listen to you. They just want, it's like you're going in there spending $300-400 an hour, just them listening to your problems. Where are these solutions? How do you not tell me, hey, you know what, you're a fucked up guy, you're doing something wrong? They don't do that. They just sit there and listen to you. Have you noticed that?
It really depends on the therapist. So therapists are like business or marketing coaches. There's some really shitty ones, and there's also some really good ones. Like I've seen back in the past, I went to therapy because I was going through some tough stuff in my early 20s. I had some that were kind of like what you're describing, but also like the one I wound up working with, he would just tell me straight up. He's like, no, Alex, listen, like this is all in your head. You're not right about this. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to think about this problem. Like he would just tell me straight up like a friend would. Like, no, you're wrong about this. So I think they can really run the gamut, and it can be tricky to find a good therapist because there's a lot of shitty ones out there.
Yeah, I do. Like especially in marriages, I think that there should be the therapist should have common sense and figure out who's doing wrong and help both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think a therapist should focus on the breakup and rather more to fix problems.
Yeah. But also at the end of the day, when it comes to the victim thing, my observation is that the person who hurts the most is the person who's being a victim, because they never take responsibility and accountability for the things that are holding them back, and they never grow and evolve. They always stay the same, because whenever there's an issue that they're having, they just assume that, it has nothing to do within their control. But at the end of the day, a lot of issues, you have some element of control when it comes to that. Maybe not 100% control, but you have some element of control, right? So that's the problem, is they just, when you stay in that victim mindset, you never learn, and you never basically, solve your problems. You just always stay the same. So yeah,
I agree with you. And I could tell you, as in my teens, I used to blame everybody for everything that went wrong. If my pants didn't fit me, I blamed my mom. If something didn't do a thing, I blamed that person. I blamed for everything. If I had a B in school, I would blame my teacher for it. I always found a way to blame others.
Yeah.
And then what changed me and made me a successful person is when I stopped blaming everyone and then blaming myself. So everything that went wrong, even though if I got scammed, if someone stole from me, I would blame myself. I would say, oh my God, this is what I did wrong. And this is the reason this person stole from me. I remember I was probably 19 years old. It was the first time someone scammed me out of like almost $100 grand. And it was a lot of money to me, and I got scammed. And I remember when I just blamed myself for it. And I called the guy and I thanked him. I said, you know what? You just did me a greatest favor in the world. You just taught me something new. I made the mistake to trust you. Not your fault. By all means, my hat's off to you.
How did he react to that? That's got to be one of the more interesting calls he's gotten.
Well, you know what? I was just being very honest with him, because you know what? He did a great job at scamming me. He sold me. I could tell you what he did, which was amazing. He sold me a business that he didn't own.
Wow. Okay.
And I believed he owned a business. We went to this business. We both walked in there. He went to the back office. He came back out. I thought it was his office. I ended up paying him for the business. I went into the business days later thinking that, this is my business. And the guy said, what are you talking about? This guy went to the back office and used my phone. And, and it was all my own fault. And I blame myself. I didn't go calling him saying, hey, I'm going to kill you. I just said, you know what? That guy's a great scam artist. He scammed me so well and so good that my hat's off to him. And when I did that, I learned that it made me a better person growing up, because I always blamed myself for things that went wrong. And every time I blamed myself, I would find ways to better myself and make myself better. Whereas in the past, every time I blamed others, nothing ever happened, and it only made things worse.
Yeah. What caused you to make that transition from blaming others to blaming yourself? Was there like an incident or a book or an experience that you had that kind of made you make that transition, or how did that come about?
Well, it's maturity. You live, you learn, you experience, and I lived, I learned, experience, and I figured, you know what, it's time to grow up. There's you could grow up at 40 years old. Some people don't grow up until like they're 50 years old. Some people grow up when they're 10 years old. There's an age for everyone when they grow up, and
Mhm.
the growing up is the day that you realize, hey, I need to do things more maturely, um, and think wiser in my life, and make decisions that make my life move forward.
Mm. But there was no like experience that you had that kind of caused you, because it is a big transition in terms of
I'm
mindset.
sure I've had all kinds of different experiences, but I can't remember. I'm an old man now these days.
Yeah, for me, actually, I specifically remember what it was for me. One of my really good friends, my best friends at the time, he's like, "Hey, let's go for a drive." This is when I used to live in Los Angeles. So we went to the the Hollywood Hills or whatever,
Yeah,
beautiful
absolutely.
view.
I live up there.
And
Yeah.
he sat me down for an hour and explained all the ways that I'm not taking responsibility for my life and I'm playing victim, very politely but very firmly. And that, like, I remember like that whole night I was mind fucked. And then that kind of started, that really kick started the progression of like taking more responsibility and accountability and not blaming others. But yeah, those, I think that's an
I
essential.
think if people just start blaming themselves, they'll learn that they will. And they're blaming themselves comes to a point. There's some people that over blame themselves and then they become depressed. And I'm not talking about going like that. I'm talking about blaming yourself and figuring out how to make it better. Not
Right,
blaming yourself and just going into depression.
right, right.
It's blaming yourself and saying, okay, you know what? Forget that. How do I make my life better? What
Yeah.
can I do so I don't fall in that same situation again? It could be with everything. It could be in your relationship, your business, your work, living life, whatever it is. How do you move forward not making the same mistakes in the past or allowing someone to use you, abuse you, do something wrong to you? And instead of blaming them, blame yourself.
I mean, I think what you're describing is the mindset that every single successful person, like really successful person, has. There's no like multimillionaires or billionaires who have like massive victim mindsets. At least not that I've seen. Maybe there's some exceptions, but typically like multimillionaires, multi-business owners, they have that mindset of taking responsibility and accountability and not blaming others. Because if not, their businesses would not be successful because they would just find a way to blame it on other people. So I think that's one thing that's universal with like the more successful people in the world. Let me ask you this. So one of the things you're known for is getting to like crazy shenanigans with like, having like 10 hot girls and whatnot on a boat. Were you always good with women growing up, or was this something that you developed later on?
I'm going to be really honest with you. I grew up, you know, everybody's so insecure about saying certain things. Like, I didn't think I was the best looking guy. I didn't think I had the best figure. I didn't think I had the best of anything. I was just an average guy. And I didn't know how to get girls. I didn't know what to do. And one of the first things I did, as I said, was figuring out how to change my life. I was focused on how do I change my life? How do I make my life better? That was the very first thing that I set to do in my life. And as I started making money, I learned that I'm making money because of the way I'm speaking. And the way I'm speaking is learning how to convince people of things. Okay.
Mhm,
So I was a very, very good salesman, extremely good salesman,
mhm,
far better than most of other people because I understood how to convey to people things and how to explain things and how to convince people to do things. And once I learned that and I start accumulating wealth, I realized, well, you know what? If I'm doing this and I'm making all this money and I'm doing it far better than a lot of other people, why can't I use the same mouthpiece and apply my same methods on women?
mhm,
And that's exactly what I did. I wasn't the best looking. I wasn't I wasn't Brad Pitt. I wasn't anything sought. So I figured, how do I do this? I use my mouth and I could convince them. And once I started doing that, I realized I could do it better than Brad Pitt because these good looking guys have insecurities. These
mhm,
good looking guys, they only get girls based on their looks. They have nothing else to offer. So
mhm.
it's so I figured, what can I offer them to get them closer to me, and what can I do to make them want me more? And once I figured all that out, and once I figured that it's my mouth, my energy, my personality, and all that could trump all the other stuff, I figured out the game of how to get girls. And I loved girls, and I loved money. And those two things made me happy. And making myself happy was what I wanted the most in my life. So I decided, hey, I'm going to pursue both of those things. And that's exactly what I set my mind to do. And I think a lot of other guys could do the same thing. I think the insecurity that exists within a lot of people, I think there's just so many insecure people in this world, and it's because they don't know their way out of it. And I think that a lot of these people who are insecure can be taught not to be so insecure, and could learn how to get things that they're not normally used to getting.
Yeah, it's funny how
a teacher. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to be anyone's teacher. I don't believe in teachers that are out there on the Instagram. All these guys promoting themselves. Look, I'll tell you one thing. First of all, I see a lot of people promoting, I could do this, these groups, these teachers, all that shit. First of all, if you guys are paying someone to teach you shit, I feel really sorry for you. A lot of things these people are teaching you are common sense. These common sense you should figure out on your own. You learn them by experience and by being smart. I feel that anyone selling you a business plan on how to get rich is a liar, because most successful people who actually make money are not going to tell you how they really make money, because they don't want competition. I would never go publicly and tell people how I've made money or what made me successful in making money or how I can make money, because I'm giving away secrets. Now, if I was to give you secrets, it would be old ones, because they don't work anymore. But anything new, I'm not going to share it with anyone, because I want to make the most out of it while it's hot. Would you?
Well, that's kind of what I do. Like, I coach people. I would say, like, I understand your points. I do agree with there's a lot of charlatans and scammers, and most of the get rich quick schemes are BS. And yes, like, people who are active in a certain industry are not going to be incentivized to give you the current secrets. But I do think there can be a lot of value in having the right mentor and the right guidance, and that can save you a lot of time. Like, for example, like with my business, I was a marketing major in college, but at the end of the day, I don't know shit about social media marketing. Me doing consultation with a marketing expert was extremely beneficial for my business, because he taught me shit for $300 that it would have taken me like a month to learn myself. Specifically analyzing my marketing process, giving me point by point feedback. Like, that was extremely beneficial. I did a coaching call with a YouTube growth expert, right, who had, like, a really big channel. Again, specific things that I'm doing right, wrong, titles, thumbnails. So I think if it's the right coach for the right thing, it could be very beneficial. But I do agree there's a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah, well, I've met more scammers than real people out there, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, these look at me now. I have 7 girls. I made $10 million, and I'll make you $10 million within the next 6 months. Just follow me and give me $3,000. I'm sorry, I don't believe that shit.
Yeah. So you kind of figured everything out on your own. You didn't have any mentors or anything?
No, I did. I learned from other guys in business. I followed other guys in business. I learned from a lot of people in business. I was very, very social. I try to learn from other people. And of course, I think connections, meeting people, all that is a very, very valuable tool in how to make money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of overlap. Well, some overlap between our life trajectories. I also was really good at sales. I was the guy that was training other people how to do sales. Rose up pretty fast in my company, and then I took a lot of the stuff I learned from sales and translated into women. It wasn't a perfect overlap. There were some universal principles. So yeah, I do definitely think that being a good salesperson can make you really good with women.
How many girlfriends do you have?
Right now, I just have one girlfriend.
You're not that good then.
Well, I don't. So I have a one-way open relationship. So I have sex with other girls. We have threesomes. But in terms of just having a girlfriend, like a girl who
You
I'm
let her
committed
sleep
to,
with other guys?
no.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no.
So she lets you sleep with other girls.
Yeah, I can sleep with as many girls as I want to.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You guys have like a mutual understanding of what you want and what she wants in life, and she's okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this like years ago, and yeah, we're both on the same page. I mean, I've done the whole like I've had like 3, 4 girls I'm having sex with at the same time, trying to juggle back and forth, and that's fun. I'm not saying it's like not fun, but like at this point in my life, where I'm trying to like more focus on like meaningful experiences with people I really care about, and my business, and spending time with family. Like the one girlfriend and still having the option to hook up with other girls is what makes the most sense for
So
me.
what made you get girls? What was
Uh,
your tool?
I mean, my story is probably going to be a bit different than yours in terms of that. So I was really awkward with girls up until my early 20s. I was an immigrant to America. And we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So like every 2 years, I'd be in a different middle school, different high school. And I think like that gave me this idea that I'm always the outsider, because I was always the outsider when it was like, middle school, high school. And that kind of always made me a little like apprehensive and shy and awkward with girls. I would be really nervous about making a move. I would be really, worried about what girls are going to think of me, what my friends are going to think of me. But it was years and years of deliberate, conscious action. I would go out and I would talk to girls. I would get rejected. I would do it again and again and again. I would go on dates with girls. I would fail. I would learn from my mistakes, sometimes slowly, but still I would learn from my mistakes, learn from my friends who were doing it better than me, and just over and over again, hundreds of thousands of times, just force myself to do a little better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And just, I'm not perfect. There's still definitely things I can learn on. But through doing that for years got me to a point where I was like able to have the dating sex life I want.
And I'll tell you one of the most important things on getting girls. The fear of getting rejected
Yeah.
is what people are so afraid of. And once you overcome the fear and say, I just don't care. Come on, bring it on. Let me get rejected. And just losing that fear is what gets you girls. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. They just don't understand. It's not how you talk, what you do. It's just the fear. You just got to get rid of the fear. You going up to any girl, telling him anything. Sometimes you could just be sarcastic and just talk with sarcasm and just not care. As long as they see that you don't care, you are not afraid of rejection, eventually one of them will fuck you.
Yeah, I do agree with that. How do you teach yourself not to care?
I don't care what other people think.
I'm
a very strong-minded person.
Were you always like that, or is that something you developed?
No, I was actually the exact opposite. And I became like that when I believed in myself. Once you start believing in yourself, you don't care what other people think.
I guess so. Then the question is, what caused you to like start believing in yourself? Like, is there anything specifically that you did that kind of like made you change your
I
perspective?
started to make money, and I started to believe in myself when I realized that I could put my mind into something and and accomplish something.
Okay.
And once I accomplished my first mission, I wasn't afraid anymore to accomplish the second, third, fourth, fifth, and seventh, whatever else. And every time I got rejected, it made me stronger. Every time I failed, I wanted to do more. I wasn't taking any. Look, any successful businessman will have a major failure in his life. If not one, maybe many. It's the people who fear the rejection, who sit there and do their 9 to 5, and they fear what outcome will happens if they were to move on to something different. The fear is what stops people from being successful. The fear of rejection, the fear of not knowing what's going to happen. But once you get rid of that fear and not care and just say, you know what, I'm just going to go with it. And if you fail, which you will, or you could, but you keep going, eventually you'll be successful. It's the same as getting girls. It's the same method. You just can't give up.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I think one thing that I was lucky with, I was very resilient. I don't know why I turned out that way, maybe because of my parents, but like I could take failure after failure and not really get discouraged and keep going. When I first started out sales, I sucked at sales. I was not a good salesperson. I would talk way too much, not ask enough questions. And then 2 hours into the sales call, the person would be like, all right, cool. Well, I'll talk to you later. And there would be no sales. So, yeah, for sure. I think being persistent and resilient is highly important. Oh, you kind of froze there for a second. We lost you for a second, Tony. Let me text it. Maybe he's having internet issues. Okay. I think he said he wants me to email him the link. 1 second. I'll do this real quick. Oh, he said his battery died. Okay, 1 second. Hey, what's up? Hey, Tony? Hello? Hello? Oh, let me just text him the information. Okay, I think he said he wants to try to log on to his computer. Link. Okay, temporary tech issue. We're gonna try to find this. Well, anyway, but yeah, we're just getting started with the. I have so many good questions I want to ask and that I wrote down. I'm excited for this. Chat. He's based in LA, I believe. Yeah, I think he's in LA. Okay. I just see mainly trolling. Not too many good questions. All right, let me see. All right, let's give him a few minutes. Okay, there he is. Hey, what's up, man?
Sorry, my battery died. I have to switch.
That's all good. Are you good now?
Yeah, I think we're good. We're fine.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so we were talking about, I think, sales or something like that. But I guess the question I was going to ask you is also this. Aside from like making more money, what are some other things you did to improve your confidence and get rid of your insecurities?
Um, Other than, I mean, money definitely helps. Um, I don't think I really did anything other than just learn how to talk. I mean, just experience of how to talk to people. That's just it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's not a rocket scientist. You just got to give up fear.
Right. But the question for a lot of people is how, right? Like some people have a lot easier time.
Be not afraid of rejections. Get rejected. Be fine with it.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like the, what's really important for getting women, being confident. How do you become confident? Just be confident, right? Like logically it makes sense, but some people have a hard time actually implementing that. I do agree with you that going out and getting rejected and then like pushing through and doing it again and again will train your mind to not care about rejection as much. But I know for some people it's a lot harder and for some people it's a lot easier.
What difference is it as a salesperson to try to sell a car to someone, 20 different people, and then one guy ends up buying it? What difference is that with a girl?
Logically, none.
Okay, so the problem with a lot of people are they feel that every girl they go to, if they don't get them, then there's something wrong with them. That's not the
Yeah,
way it works.
yeah, I agree. I agree, but
So
it's sometimes it can be really tricky to convince your subconscious of something. Like logically, you could know that there's nothing wrong with being rejected. Everyone gets rejected, blah blah blah. But then subconsciously, you go up and talk to a girl, and then you find yourself getting like bummed out. You're like, oh, she rejected me. Am I too ugly? Blah blah blah. So sometimes it can be tricky to train your subconscious to be in line with your rational, logical brain.
I call it the shotgun approach. There's thousands of pellets you're throwing out. One of them will hit.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I
And
also
it's
wanted
just
to.
a statistical number. You know, you could be the ugliest guy in the world. You hit on 1,000 good looking girls. I guarantee you one of them will say yes.
Yeah. Well, the trick is doing the volume, like talking to a lot of girls, in addition to improving like anything you can improve on. Like, how's your body language? How's your, how good are you at articulating things? Are your jokes weird or do the girls find them funny? Can you build sexual tension? Are you able to seduce a girl? Are you able to deal with any concerns she has? So there's like a level of skill and then there's a level of volume that plays into it.
Well, that's absolutely once your fear is aside, then you move forward. All that is a part of experience, and you learn all those.
Yeah. No, I agree. I want to ask you this: how did you build the lifestyle that you have? So we kind of talked about your success with women, but you have a pretty crazy lifestyle. It seems like. How did that develop?
I've made millions of dollars when I was young, doing different ventures, different things, um, and I've also lost a lot of money. So, there's all these guys that are out there who say, "Oh, I made this, I made that." They never talk about their failures. I've lost a lot of money. I've had my downs. I've had my ups. Everybody has their downs and ups, and I just been that one person that doesn't give up. And one of the things I like for people to know is they should never give up, and they should understand failure is part of anyone who's successful.
Yeah. No, I do agree with all that. But like in terms of like, for example, like before your Instagram got taken down, there'll be a photo of you with like 15 hot girls. Like, how did you set up that kind of lifestyle where you're constantly surrounded by attractive women? Because there's a lot of rich people
So I learned having friends, being friends with girls brings more friends. I have a lot of friends that were girls throughout my life, and they always brought in more girls. And girls like to be surrounded with successful men. They like, you know, what girl doesn't like to sit in a Lamborghini, or what girl doesn't like to go to a mansion, or what girl doesn't like to be treated well with a guy who, you know, knows how to spend money and have fun. So I've been that guy that people can have fun with because like to have fun myself.
Mhm.
So when you get a girl to come hang out with you and you have fun with her, and she goes out there and tells her girlfriends and, hey, come hang out with me. I'm with this guy. He's super fun. Blah blah blah. Then more girls come and more girls come and more girls come, and then the next thing you know, you have like a whole Rolodex of hundreds, if not thousands, of girls.
Mhm.
And whenever you want, you hit up whichever ones you want. They come hang out with you. And that's what
Yeah.
I do.
So you would basically, throw cool events, parties, fun stuff like that. The girls you knew would invite girls that.
Activities, parties. I've done big parties, activities, boat days, pamper days, all kinds of different stuff.
Mhm. Let me ask you this question, Tony. I think it's a question that a few people in the chat have. Do you think this is possible if you make an average amount of money, or is this something that's exclusive to people who make a lot of money? That type of not so much the boat part, but just being surrounded with beautiful women.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you an experience thing. I was 21 years old. I remember I used to have a really nice motorcycle, and I used to go out and pick up girls and just bang girls after girls, just taking them on a ride. And then one time I bought a Ferrari, and of course I pick up girls, take them out, and bang them. But it was completely different. The girls that I took with the Ferrari, with the motorcycle, they just banged me. It was just like, hey, we just banging. And then the ones with Ferrari, I always have to like almost beg to fuck them because they
Mhm.
always wanted to get married. Okay. And I learned that there's two different ways of living. When you have money,
Nope. Okay.
So did you hear me? Sorry. I said
We
when
lost.
you have money, they want more out of you. They want marriage. They want a life with you, and it just becomes really really hard to just have one night stands. But when you don't have money and you're fun, they just want to have fun with you.
Mm,
So you know, I think you don't need to have money to get a lot of girls because I was there when I didn't have a lot of money and I had I had girls
mhm. Yeah.
because I knew how to talk to them. I knew how to have fun. And a lot of these guys who don't have money, build some, fix your insecurities. Don't be afraid of rejection. Talk to women. Find ways to communicate with them where you could show them that you're a fun person. Girls are not like guys. Guys, we look for good looking girls. We want someone who's attractive. Girls, attractiveness is they're not something on top of their list. That's not what they're looking for. They want so many other aspects of a man, and attraction is not one of them. And unfortunately, men, we become so insecure that we believe or we feel attraction is on top of their priority when it isn't. They're exactly opposite of guys.
So you think for women, they're more like attracted by confidence, lifestyle, stuff like that?
100%.
Mhm.
1000%.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think that's the most important factor for sure. Because I do know some rich people, like maybe not as rich as you, but over $1 million net worth for sure, who struggle with women. I've heard stories from girls I've hooked up with whose like ex was someone who was like a multimillionaire and like how these guys are so desperate, blah, blah. So I think money alone is not enough
I
to.
know so many rich guys. I have so many friends. Rich, rich, rich. I'm talking rich. Okay. Yeah, they're getting laid. They're fucking hookers.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're always envying me, trying to figure out how is it that I'm not paying them. Okay. I know a lot of, listen, and I know just because you have money, it doesn't mean anything. Just money alone is not going to get you girls. You're going to get girls that want to use you
Right.
for whatever that one thing is that you have. Okay.
Mhm.
So money alone isn't going to do anything. And another thing is a lot of these rich guys are actually more insecure than a lot of regular guys.
Mhm.
They're afraid of rejection 100 times more. Because, and I'll explain to you why. Just because someone owns a business and he's really successful in his business and he's used to rejection in his business, that doesn't mean he's used to rejection with women. Okay. Just because that person's very rich and wealthy and is very savvy with his business doesn't mean he's savvy with women.
Yeah.
He could be actually the exact opposite, horrible. And a lot of these guys who are wealthy, they're only good at whatever they've done to accumulate their wealth. They're not good at any other things.
Yeah. I think
So
also, oh, go ahead.
so wealth alone isn't going to cut it for these girls. I'll tell you, a lot of these girls have a wealthy boyfriend, and then they're fucking the poor guy on the side, and they're having better
Yeah.
sex with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people just don't understand the concept of it, and once you learn it, you understand it, it'll make sense to you.
Yeah, I do think also like when you're rich, there's the additional danger. So if you're poor and like you're not good with women, you're just simply not going to get women, which sucks. But it's better than what a lot of rich people who have really poor social skills, not good with women, they get used by a woman, they get played, and they lose like a lot of their money, right? So they get extorted, they get scammed, they get married to the wrong type of girl who only wants them for their money. So like I feel like if you're rich, you actually it's more essential for you to be better with women than if you're poor. Because if you're poor, you have nothing to lose. But if you're rich, you potentially lose some of your assets if you don't know
Yeah,
what you're doing.
I just think a lot of these rich guys don't know how to get girls. They're just horrible at it. They don't know how to talk to girls. They're more afraid of rejection than poor guys. Poor
Yeah.
guys have nothing to lose. They don't care. They'll just go and walk up to any girl. They'll try anything. They'll get laid. They get laid. They don't. Oh well, back to square one. Rich guys, they're just afraid. And
Yeah,
and a lot of these rich guys um, are people who marry their first love, and marry the first girl that gets them they get laid with, or a lot of these rich guys are born nerds to begin with. There's all kinds of different problems
yeah.
with these people.
Yeah, if you like travel to third world countries, like I've been to Eastern Europe, I've been to Colombia, you notice guys in those countries, the average guy is actually much more confident than the average guy in America. So if you're working like 4 jobs, you don't know if you're going to be able to eat the next day. You have all these pressures. Your grandma's living in the house with you, like 20 other relatives. Are you really going to be that worried about some random girl on the street rejecting you? Probably not. It doesn't even matter.
No,
So I do think that like it's funny how I think the guys in the third world countries are more confident than guys in first world countries.
not only they're more confident, but they're also more aggressive. And not only they're
Yeah,
more aggressive, they know they know the savvy ways of getting girls.
that is
Whereas
true.
over here, they lack it in every way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Let me ask you this question. So you mentioned something about earlier about like girls, sometimes want to use you, blah blah. So you're a successful dude. How do you personally screen out all the girls that have nefarious intentions? Let's just say.
Hey, listen, one of the things I'm really good at is not caring what their intentions are and focusing on what my intentions are.
Mhm.
As long as you beat them to the punch, why does their intention matter to you?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess it would only matter for like a real relationship. It wouldn't matter for like a hookup.
Right. So, and on a real relationship, you'll know when it's real. If it's real, they're not going to be wanting to use you, or they're not going to have intentions, and you're going to see right through them.
I think if
A
you know
lot
what
of
you're
these
looking
girls
for.
these days, which I don't understand, they come on a date and they're wearing this $5,000 purse, and they're trying to act like they're rich. No, bitch. I know you've been doing something to get that purse. I don't think like, I'm not stupid. So, yeah, I know what their intentions are immediately.
Yeah, you see
What
photos
do
of the
I do?
girl on a jet, but she lives with her parents. You're like, okay, like
Oh, come on. There are all these girls. They're running around trying to make themselves look so rich.
yeah,
Why? Guys don't care how rich you are. We don't go out there and go, "Oh my God, I'm." What girl did you ever date strictly because she had money?
zero.
Zero. What guy goes out with a girl strictly because they have money? We don't care. It's the other way around. They care. We don't.
Yeah,
We don't care if the girl's got money. In fact, we rather them not have money. You know why? Because then we can impress them. Nothing feels better to a man than knowing that they can impress the person, the woman that they're with. Okay, if you sitting with a girl that you can't impress because she's been with the next guy with a private plane, she sat in the next Lamborghini, she's wearing a $10,000 purse. That's You don't want that girl, do you?
no. Well, for me personally, well, it depends. If we're talking about having sex, then yeah, there's no issue. When it comes to like
Well, yeah,
anything
but then
that's
we're talking
semi-serious,
relationships here.
yeah, if we're talking about like a semi-serious relationship, then I don't want a girl who has any gold digging tendencies, period. I don't want a girl who's on seeking arrangement, meeting up with millionaires. I don't want the girl who lives with her parents that has photos of her on a private jet or in Dubai with some random dude behind her. I want a girl who has a stable life. She has a good relationship with her friends and family. She has a passion or purpose that she's pursuing. Could be her career, could be something else. And she's able to take care of herself to some
Right,
extent.
but how do you know that? And I'll tell you how you know that. When she's not wearing a Christian Louboutin shoes, when she's not wearing holding a Chanel bag, when she's not on a private jet on pictures, when she's not on her Instagram showing all kinds of different trips that she's been on, that's how you know.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, yeah, you ask her what
But
she
what
does
do these
for work.
girls do these days? What do they do? The exact opposite. They're wearing their shoes, they're wearing their purses, they're showing their trips they're on. And what's the first thing that goes to your mind when you see all that as a man? Every man.
Pay for play.
Okay. So what and they expect to find a good relationship? They expect to find a good man?
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
they expect, right?
sure, yeah, they're gonna find a
So,
guy who just wants to
so,
use them for sex. They're not gonna find a guy who actually takes them
so
seriously.
they go on these dates with these men that expect them to be a hooker and expect to pay them to be with them, and then they wonder why they got dumped by that man because
Yeah,
he's out there doing the same to other girls. You're not the only girl attracted to his money.
it's a vicious cycle.
They just don't get it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it is a weird, but I do think you and I are, because I live in Miami, live in Los Angeles. It is different in a lot of other cities. Like it happens in other cities, but it's much more prevalent in Los Angeles, in Miami. Those are actually the two cities where that kind of, wearing $5,000, fucking bags or whatever when you
Oh,
make.
it happens everywhere these days. Believe me, there's girls in Kentucky right now wearing those bags. Trust me, it's happening everywhere because the simps in the world are, um, I would say, more men think that the way to get laid now these days is by doing these things for women. You have to buy them things. You have to do things. You have to like show them this. And they are so fucking wrong. And they're the ones that's ruining all these girls. And the girls that are falling for it, by all means, I love you guys. I love it. You just make my job a lot easier as a guy wanting to get laid more. Because there's more people out there.
It is a vicious cycle, but I do
It's a
think this
vicious cycle, but it works out great for the men and
for some men, yeah, for sure.
great.
I do think also
Hold on.
though. Like, go ahead.
Hold on.
Hey,
Hey, sorry. Okay,
you're
go
good.
ahead.
What I was gonna say is, oh yeah, the silver lining is that this is still it may seem like on social media this is majority of girls, but in reality it's not the majority of girls. Like there is a definitely those girls definitely exist and they're definitely ruthless and they definitely try to do all that shit. But like the average girl, like you go to like Midwest America, the average girl generally is probably going to have semi decent values. She's going to have somewhat of a decent job. She's going to be somewhat family oriented. But the trick is like, but the problem is those girls are not posting like thirst traps on Instagram, and thus you're not going to slide into her DMs because she's not going to catch your attention.
Yeah, but those same girls will come to LA and they'll completely change their morals and values within like probably 2 days.
LA
Have you not
ruins.
noticed that? Or Miami. The same girls, the same moral valued girls, they as soon as they arrive to Miami, 3 days later, my God, they lost all the values, all the morals. Don't haven't you seen that?
Some of them for sure, but like I mean, you would agree that there's girls out there in America who have good values, right?
100%, a
Yeah,
100%. They have good values, and those are great women, and those are definitely relationship type material girls.
yeah. What
But
what percent?
they're a needle in a haystack these days. And if you're one of those needle in the haystack kind of girls, man, don't lose your morals. That's great. You have many men who would love to be with you.
Roughly, what percentage of girls do you think have good values, and what percentage of girls are like kind of like the gold diggers, blah blah blah?
Where in
Give me.
LA? In
Let's
LA?
just talk overall in America, and then you can mention LA.
All right. So for some reason, the better looking you are, the less of values you have, because the more of options you have. The more options, less values, because you just lose it somewhere in the middle there, somewhere in the pipeline. Uh, the less attractive of a woman, the more of a value, less of an option for you as a woman, but definitely more value because with that value is the only thing that can get you guys, not the looks. So um,
I honestly would disagree with that. We've done a lot of really interesting experiments on this channel.
you've had some ugly girls. You've had some ugly girls with values.
Not
I mean,
exactly.
without values.
So what we've done was we've created profiles of like a really fat girl or like a really old lady or really ugly girl. And
Yeah.
dude, take a guess. How many matches do you think a 300-pound girl got in 24 hours? Just take a rough guess.
A lot. You know why?
500.
Why? Why? Because the
I was
men who are
asking
hitting them up feel that there would be easy lays because they're not so attractive. They're going to be a lot easier. That's what they think.
True, but there's also like I've seen couples where the girl's a beast, the guy's decent looking, looks like he has shit together, and he's hanging on to that girl for dear life. Like, please, please, I can't do any better than you.
The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You heard that?
Yeah, but there's some also universal beauty standards. I think pretty much most people would agree on.
Yeah.
But I think okay. So wait, going back to the initial question. So what would you? Okay, let's just say LA. What would you put it like? Let's talk about girls who are sevens and up, attractive girls, or don't have to be supermodels, but girls that most guys would find attractive, or at least you find attractive. What percentage of those do you think have good values, and what percentage of those do you think are fucked?
I'd say 30% have good values and 70% are fucked.
Is that in LA or across America?
I would say big cities.
Big cities. What about if we go to like Midwest and stuff like that, like the South or like Northwest?
I'd say 50-50.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, I guess I don't want the underlying message to be depressing that you can't, because there's a lot of guys who believe you cannot find a great girl in America. You have to travel abroad, and you are more likely to find a
in
great
most
girl.
cases that we have to agree with those guys because unfortunately here it's very tough to find them.
You're going to be more likely to be able to find a great girlfriend living in like fucking Colombia or in Czech Republic or in one of those
anywhere
countries.
in the boonies.
Yeah, right. But doesn't mean
needle in the haystack. You're not going to find them right on top. You're going to find them, deep down in there somewhere.
Well, that kind of like lets me naturally transition to this. So like, what is like your like? Do you just hook up with a bunch of girls, or do you have like multiple girlfriends? What's like your relationship situation?
Hello.
Yeah, what's up? So what I was saying was like that kind of leads me to the next question, which is like, what is your like? How do you date? Do you have a bunch of?
I'm gonna keep my personal life out of this for now because I got.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. But then,
go ahead.
Yeah, let's move on to other things.
No worries, no worries. I guess like more vaguely, I would ask this question: like, how do you generally meet girls? Is it mostly like through your social circle, or is it
my
like
social circle? My social circle.
Okay,
definitely my social circle.
Gotcha. Also, another a question that some people are asking is like, the person you probably get compared to the most is Dan Bilzerian, right?
Yeah, I've known him for a lot of years before he was famous on Instagram.
Okay, interesting. Small world.
A lot of people don't understand, and they, look, when I was 20 years old and I owned my own nightclub and I was banging girls on top of my roof and coming down in line, picking up girls, going back up on the roof. Dan was only 10 years old. Okay. So what a lot of people also don't understand is I lived my life and did crazy things far before Dan was, 20 years old. By the time he was 20, I had a big record of girls under my belt. So he's a good friend of mine. I don't want to say anything about that. I think he's got his methods. He's got his ways. He's by all means, he's done great on his Instagram. But that's all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, would you say, like, just I obviously don't want you to badmouth your friend or anything like that. I personally like Dan Bilzerian, but would you say there's any like philosophical differences between you two, how you view life and how you view dating?
I think we view a lot of things differently, but as a person, I like him, and I just don't want to talk about that.
All right, yeah, no worries. So then the next question is this: you have multiple businesses. You seems like you have a pretty active life. How do you manage work, play, and everything in between?
Like I said, I haven't really worked in the past 10 years, kind of like been smooth sailing, you know, living off, the money that I've accumulated in the past. So I just been partying a lot. I've been partying for the last 12 years nonstop.
And that
And
has okay.
yeah, I do a lot of things. I do a lot of things. It just lately, I've just been doing it more privately, just quietly. But yeah, same guy. If you were to go look at my phone and the things that I've done in my life, you'd say, "Holy shit, why aren't you posting these?" But that's just because I've just learned to just live my life on my own and not care what about anything else.
Yeah, I got you. Did the partying like start to lose its appeal for you, or it's still like
One
you find?
hundred percent. You get tired, of course. Of course,
Yeah.
you just the girls. It's just so draining. Then it's just becoming more and more draining to have to deal with these girls these days. That they're just, hey guys, I'm just gonna let you know, you guys are not on your own if you're frustrated with these girls these days in today's society. Trust me, you could be wealthy, you can have everything in the world, and they will frustrate even that person, and that includes me. So frustration comes amongst all of us when it comes to them.
Yeah, for me, it lost its largely lost its appeal, like, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, honestly. Like, in my early 20s, I would party hard, drink, go out, stay up all night, try to pick up girls, do all kinds of crazy shit. I don't know. It just lost its appeal for me in my late 20s. I still like to party sometimes, but generally speaking, I just don't find it like
I love to party, and I'll still party, but it's just the value that people have these days, the competition that you have to put up with, the different girls that their mindsets, all that is just it's just crazy these days. It's nothing like it was before.
mhm.
And it's
So what
all due to social media. It's due to all these different people who pretend to be someone they're not. It's all these different people that see other people and they think that's truly how they live. And men and women, I don't want to say just women, men and women are fantasizing and believing and becoming more delusional than they've ever been before.
do you see any solutions to that?
Yeah, get rid of the internet. I I think there is a solution to that. I think it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's going to
probably.
be a point. There's going to be years from now where girls become commodities. It's just they're just pushing themselves towards that direction.
Yeah, too much social media is definitely not good for your brain. Uh,
Yeah,
definitely not
and
good.
and guys are going to just feel that the only way they get girls is by making money.
Right, but that's like only so many people can make money. Like if everyone is a millionaire, then no one's a millionaire type of thing.
Oh,
So,
and
so what? Where do you think dating is going to be in like 25 years?
you know what? Somebody asked me this 20 years ago when I said, "Oh fuck, you have no idea. It's going to get really, really, really bad." And I almost predicted exactly what's going on today. So I don't want to be predicting what's going on in 20 years because if I do, it's just going to be really, really bad. Like I said, I really honestly believe girls will be more like commodities. There's going to be girls that are going to be, um, everything's going to be different.
But would you agree that you can make yourself semi-immune to that if you develop a good source of income, right? Where you don't have to go into work every day. You have
I don't
kind
think
of
you have a choice these days. You just have to really learn how to make some money.
yeah, learn how to make money. I don't think it has to be crazy money either. It just has to be enough for you to be able to live off and have a semi decent lifestyle. Develop a good social circle. Get good with girls. Become confident. Get rid of your insecurities. Like I think that's like the only antidote
Well,
to
yeah, but these days, everybody 100 times whatever they have. I mean, these days you look on social media, everybody talks about billionaires and zillionaires and trizillionaires and all this other stuff. That we don't even have any more millionaires these days. Everybody 100 times their numbers. So the expectations of these poor people that are out there thinking, oh my God, if I was to even make money, I have to make $10 million a year. And that's not true. You could be
Yeah.
very happy with not nearly as much.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think, yeah, like if you're making six figures a year, you have enough money to live a semi decent life in most cities. You're not going to be able to live a Dan Bilzerian life on six figures, but you can buy everything you need. You can put your kids through semi decent school. Yeah, yeah, I do.
I
I do
think
agree.
everybody's under the eight figure stage at this. That's what they think that's realistic, and it's not. But yeah, that's what they're thinking.
What do you think are something that like is universal amongst people who are like ultra successful when it comes to money? Like I'm sure you have a lot of rich friends. What do you think? What do you notice about them that's different than like the average person you interact with?
Well, look, a lot of rich people, they're lucky. They, I mean, you can't say, define rich. First of
Uh,
all, rich has so many different meanings. Like what's rich. I
10
feel like
million.
I know some poor people who are not so rich and they have a little bit of money and they're richer than the billionaires that I know. So what define that to begin with? And secondly,
10 million plus a year.
yeah, you're making that's great, but do you think they're happy?
Some
Do
of
you
them,
think a
yes.
lot of them know things? Do you think a lot of them are, they're they all everybody has problems.
Mm. But then that still kind of begs the question. Like, I'm sure there's a lot. I agree with you. There's a lot of rich people who have all kinds of issues, dating and social and otherwise. They
But
have their
what
own.
makes them successful? That's your question. What makes them
Yeah, yeah,
successful to be?
yeah.
Well, first of all, not all of them are entrepreneurs. So not all of them accumulated their wealth on their own.
Right.
Some of them are just lucky. Some of them were handed. So, there's so many different, some of them, so if you, I think you're directing your question towards the successful ones that made it on their own, the entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
what made them successful.
Yeah.
Okay. And the answer to that, for them at least, not all the other ones, not the so-called trust funds and
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who ended up owning a business or uh, something was handed down to them down the line. Well, for those ones, for the entrepreneurs, I think their determination, their was the key factor.
Mhm.
Uh, if you're really, really determined and you set a good plan in place and you focus and you don't give up, I think anyone can be successful. It's just a matter of going out there and finding your way and your niche on how to make money.
So essentially, resilience.
100%.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let me ask you this question. You've had, I guess, I don't know much about your like upbringing. Did you like grow up in like a middle class
My
family? Or,
parents never gave me a dollar to this day.
okay.
I hate to say it because I love my mom, I love my dad, but they never, my dad passed away 15 years ago. My mother's a hardworking person. They never gave me anything. I,
Yes.
I think the first time I ever owned a bicycle was when I was maybe 14 years old, and probably a week later, my dad took it and returned it because he needed the money. So, um, and the only time uh, I remember I was 16 years old and I had a picture of a Porsche in my bedroom, and my dad said, "What's that? Why do you have this there?" And I said, "One day I'm going to buy one." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that only by going to jail." And I said, "Why?" He goes, if you want to drive this, go to school, and we'll talk in 15 years from now. But it's too early to talk about that." And he, I didn't get any support from my parents. I lived on my own. I left my parents' house when I was 16 years old. I lived on my own since I was 16 years old. And I've blamed myself, focused on myself, and figured out every solution on my own.
Mhm. So yeah, so where I was going with this is like you've had highs and lows in terms of your at least
Absolutely. I went bust 4 times in my life.
Yeah. So the question I want to ask you is, what are some things you learned from your highs and from your lows?
Mm, my highs and lows.
Yeah, in life, like when you hit your, when you had your highs and you hit your lows in life, like was there anything specific that stood out to you as like, hey, this is something I would have liked to known before this happened?
I would have liked to known in my highs not to spend money on a lot of stupid things that I spent money on, and on my lows, um, I think sometimes when you're just down on yourself and you know, I but in saying having to said that, even when I was low, I always figured a way to get up and fight again and be successful. Um, you know, anyone can knock you down, but as long as you're willing to fight all the way through the end and not get knocked out, you should be fine.
Mhm. Okay, fair enough. Oh, you kind of froze there for a second. Okay, there we go. You're good now. So this is like the final question I have for you, and this I think this is a culmination of this whole discussion. Like I don't know, do you have a son? I know you mentioned you have a daughter.
I
Do
have
you
a
have any?
son. I have a great son. I have a son.
Okay,
I have a daughter. I have both.
okay,
Two
gotcha.
different moms.
So if your son came to you and was, well, maybe he has in the past, I don't know, but hypothetically speaking, comes to you and says, "Dad, you seem to have a pretty good life. What advice would you give me in terms of being successful with women and money?"
I mean, I think we covered all that. I think we went through all the advices that I would give. I mean,
Oh,
like you said, resilience. Don't give up. Don't be afraid. Don't don't ever blame other people. All the things we discussed. I would
mm.
tell them the same things.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, man, that's all the questions I had. I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about. If there's anything on your
No,
mind.
I think we could talk another day. I think you might have a lot of your followers that have any questions. They could ask you, and I'm more than happy to get back on there with you and try to help you out.
Yeah, awesome, man. I really appreciate your time, Tony. I know you're a busy dude, so I really appreciate you making time and coming on,
Absolutely. If
chatting
I
my
can help
audience.
any of these young people or confused people into something positive in their lives, I'd be happy to do it.
Do you ever plan on writing a book?
No,
No,
I
no
don't
book.
know how. I'm not as uh, I'm not as gifted as Janelle to write two books in one day.
Yeah, yeah. 2 books in one day is a pretty lofty goal. I think that's going to be kind of tough to do 2 books in
Yeah,
one day.
I'm not educated or that gifted, so I'm gonna stick to things I know how to do, make money.
Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I really appreciate the discussion, and yeah, for sure, love to connect sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know, and have your people write comments on what they saw and what they think, and if they have any other questions, maybe another day we'll discuss it.
Yeah, is there anywhere like if people want to learn more about you, is there anywhere where they should go, like a website or like channel or something like that?
I only have right now. I only have my Tony Toutouni Instagram, TonyTouni. That's my only Instagram that I have right now, and until I get my lunatic living one back.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get back soon. But yeah, man, it was good. It was good chatting. Thanks for coming
All
on
right, buddy.
again. Appreciate it.
All right,
All right.
nice to meet you guys. All right, bye.
Take care.